So, Philip, what do you take to be your memorable personal achievement from the journey here at Cranfield?
Well, I think the most important one is to sort of regain my academic credibility for myself. Um, I'd in my earlier career, I did a first degree in ancient history. I did an MBA. I did a chartered accountant professional qualification. So I did a whole pile of sort of academic-y stuff up until my 30s, and I've always had an interest in history carrying on forward. So I sort of felt myself an intellectually stimulated, interested person. But working in commerce over a number of years, while it's sort of interesting in itself, you feel you're just sort of getting bogged down in the day-to-day grind of business, and one's sort of personal, I think, a reduction then of one's intellectual skills, or one's thoughts of one's intellectual skills.
So you felt you could resharpen that sword, as it were?
Well, I'm not necessarily resharpening it. I wasn't even sure whether I had it or not. So, so when as an achievement, so I mean, I'd started a year or two before the course trying to sort of vaguely think about doing academic things. Initially, I thought I might actually try and do a history doctorate as well, but I wasn't really sure whether I'd be able to sort of do it. What's very interesting is when I came to the interview, I'd been chairman of a business of sort of 800 odd people, and then suddenly one's treated like a student, and I sort of felt very belittled by it. I thought all my achievements had been blown down to sort of being starting from scratch, as it were. So after the interview, I said, this is the last place I'm ever going to go to.
The reason to run away then and not to carry on, but you did carry on.
Well, that's right, because they offered me the place, which quite surprised me, because I thought I'd upset them. So and that sort of carried on, and then during the first year, it was very sort of stimulating as well. But again, I did get this feeling I was sort of being belittled. But as you go along, and as the course sort of pulls together and it reawakens one's sort of intellectual curiosity, you get more and more comfortable. So having got through of it, getting out the other end, having taken what I hope was a sort of rigorous academic approach, not just trying to knock it out, I now feel it would be a tremendous achievement.
In that process, in that journey, was there a point where it suddenly started to make sense, that you didn't feel belittled? That you had some credence?
I think actually getting to the end helps you do that, because up until that stage you're still a student, and when you're used to being a senior executive you're not a student. So I suppose it's very nice to have brought up the academic, once you've got the doctorate you've got the badge, but it builds up as the time goes on.
So it's given you the authority.
Yeah.
In terms of your organisation then, what does the organisation get out of you having done this?
Well, my background is, I've sort of been run privately owned businesses, both as a shareholder and for private equity. So my role in life is to make them successful and add value to them. And I found the course, because it took me back to the basics. What stimulated me to come here was the systems I was using, the accounting control systems, the plannings, the budgeting. They seemed to work, but on the other hand they didn't seem to work, because there's always variances, there's always problems, and so I'm thinking, how can something that seems to work not be working? But what I found and that's actually what triggered me to do the course as well. That's part of the sort of intellectual curiosity side of it. And when I sort of got here, the advantage of the course is, and looking at it academically, is you can stand back and see what is actually driving it. And so one becomes aware that it's actually the process of forcing one to do the planning and then triggering the variances and the changes, which lead you to make adaptive responses.
So the discipline of the study was very useful for you to help think out.
Yes, that's right. And actually, I sold my business sort of halfway through the course, and I think actually the course actually helped me to run it better. So it had a direct financial benefit on the value received, because one's not so scared about the fluctuations and the varieties and the uncertainties in business. Because the way they treat accounting is if it's a very concrete science. And clearly it isn't, as we can see from all this credit crunch and the fact that numbers going all over the place. But if you can understand what it can't do, you can then understand more what it can do.
So how has the DBA study, your studies generally, led you to where you are now?
Well, because it's made me understand what accounting can and can't do more, and sort of gave me more confidence in the theoretical side of it and how it inflates the price. It's actually enabled I've sold my business, and now I run a twin track career, which is basically practice and commercial. So which is actually quite demanding, because I'm neither now a commercial guy nor an academic guy. I mean, I'm doing some papers for the chartered accountants on the sort of on the practice of accounting, which is halfway between theory and practice. And so it's a very but they think I'm a bit too theoretical because I bring along a lot of the sort of academic-y stuff, right? But then I'm probably, for most academics, too practical, because I'm tying it all the way back to achievement of profit goals.
Or you represent the best of both worlds.
Well, it's worth a go. And so, I mean, to my mind, there is a danger that you fall between two stools, but I'm happy to have a go at it. You know, I've had a pure commercial career. I've now got the doctorate, so I can give it a go. And you know, the course has enabled me to do that.
Philip, thank you very much.
Thank you.